Hey Gary, this is Brian Hartman at Heart to Heart Marketing. We talked on the phone yesterday, and I promised that I was going to send you out a video where I'm going to show you three things you can do today to help bring more customers into your business. And here we are. Right now, I'm going to shut the webcam down so this way you can pay attention to what I'm going to be showing you on the screen. So bear with me. Okay. So most likely you're sitting there asking yourself, why would I be doing this and what's in it for me? Well, you're lucky because I read minds, and the answer is oftentimes in the world of the internet, most local business owners are just too busy running their business to learn how the internet can benefit them and their company. And sometimes the only hesitation they have to hiring someone is they don't know who's an expert and who isn't. And I found by giving people an easy free attack plan of actual things they can do to impact their business for free has resulted in some of those local business owners still raising their hands and saying, Brian, I like you. Can you do this for me? So if by the end of this video you've liked what you heard and you can see that I have a lot of tricks up my sleeve that I could help your business with, shoot me a message back and we could chat. Or if at the end of this video you simply want to take this free attack plan I gave you to do yourself, that works for me too. Now, let me show you three things that will set your company above your competition, not waste any more of your time or mine. So the first thing I want to go over is content. As you can see here, I have your website pulled up. Um, and typically, Google likes to see about 1,500 words on the homepage of a website. And what they do is they actually crawl those words or content to see, number one, is this a legitimate business? What does the business do? Where they're located? Who they're actually looking to do business with? And if you highlight, which I'm doing, you see that I'm highlighting what you have on your website that's searchable. There's very few words or content on your homepage or on your website. And there's also very few keywords that are appearing for content as well. And people will search to find plumber in Port St. Lucie, for example. And you can see here, if you do a search, plumber in Port St. Lucie, you first come across sponsored ads. And majority of people I speak with don't really like these sponsored ads. These are Google ads, right? And problem they don't like them is that the quality of the people that are calling are not necessarily always what they're looking for. The next section, which we're going to come back to, is called the map listing, right? These are the top three. Here you have another ad, and then you have the organic listings, right? So really what you want to be able to do is appear in the top three in the map, and hopefully if not in the first position, then at least in the top five, let's say, or in this case, top four in the organic position. And when you search plumber in Port St. Lucie, you can see that Port St. Lucie plumbing does not appear. So what I did was I took the time to do a search on Port St. Lucie plumbing, your website, and you'll be able to see here, this is a tool that I use called Ahrefs. It runs about $200 to $300 a month that I pay for. You can also benefit from this if you choose to want to, pay for it in the future. But what we look for with this is organic keywords. You can see that you get about 94 searches a month, which is pretty good. And then that translates into about $1,200 a month in value that comes to your company. And we're also going to talk about backlinks as well here in a minute. Let's take a look at keywords. So remember we talked about the content needing about 1,500 words on your website so Google can show it as a legitimate business. And then the keywords are very important within that content, what people are actually searching for to be able to find you, um, hopefully when they're doing that search. What I'm doing now is putting all your keywords in order by position in Google. Okay. And you can see that you have St. Lucie Plumbing and Port St. Lucie Plumbing, which is great. Um, it's branding, right? Because that's basically the name of your business, and this is actually the name of your business, which is fantastic. So if you do that search, you're going to find your number one and number two, and Port St. Lucie Plumbing for these two, and St. Lucie Plumbing here. After that, Port St. Lucie Plumber dropped down to the fifth position. Not sure why there's a Russian Federation one here, kind of unusual. But once you reach the 10th position, you're already basically on the second page of Google, and we call that the graveyard page because nobody's going to the second page, right, to be able to search. So you can see when somebody searches plumber in Port St. Lucie, the map listing we're going to come back to, but they find uh, Benjamin Franklin Plumbing, and more local to that is Genesis Plumbing Services. So I did a search on Genesis Plumbing Services and their keywords, and they did the same thing with branding, but plumbing in Port St. Lucie, they're number three. Plumber in Port St. Lucie, they're number three. So you can see that's why they're showing up here. There's a sponsored ad, and then they come into a third position, right? Um, so that's an important keyword. Um, these are all things that we're looking at when we put the content together. Okay, so that's definitely something we can fix and be able to get you um, to move up the ranks in the organic listing. And we're going to talk about backlinks in a minute, but the next thing I wanted to talk about is citations. So the next visible section in the listing, right? So you have the ads. This is your map listing. Map listing is um, basically name, address, and phone number. We call it NAP for short. Whoops. Let me go back for a second. I want to be able to bring up in here. Not being very user friendly right at the moment, but typically what happens is you would see the actual name, address, and phone number pop up. See if it'll work under Benjamin Franklin. When you click on here, it's bringing up the websites. Interesting. Um, and you would see your, see if I click on here, if that changes anything. So I've been going a little bit slow. Here we go. So it brings up your Google My Business or Google Business Profile. It has pictures. It has the name, address, and phone number. You can see of one of your competitors here, Don Bella Plumbing. And people will typically 50% of people will actually reach out on these top three when they complete the search. So what we want to do is be able to create more citations. And citations are the name, address, and phone number that go into these directories, internet directories like Yahoo Local and Bing and Yelp and Yellowbook.com. And typically, the top three have about 150 citations. So what we want to do is get about 250 of those to just blow them out of the water and hopefully land you in the top page here in the map listing. Okay. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about today was backlinks. If you recall, backlinks are listed here, and basically they are other websites that kind of give out a shout out to your company and then include a link to your website on their page. And so typically, like to give an example, it's almost like when you have a popular kid in school, and one day you walk in with the best pair of Air Jordans, and the popular kid in school turns around and points at your Air Jordans and says, "Man, those are the best shoes." Now you have the most popular person in school giving you authority, giving you, a little more trust. People are going to start to want to connect with you. Same thing with websites. So in the case of a plumber, a plumbing company, let's say, for example, you have a plumbing supply company that gives a shout out to Port St. Lucie Plumbing and puts the link to your website on their page. People will then that come to that supply company's website can click on yours and get back to your website. That's what's called a backlink. And not all of them are based on the same authority. So, for example, a Pizza Hut having a link to your website is not as relevant as a plumbing supply company that's well known having a link to your website. And you can see what your backlinks look like here. Um, so what you want to do is be able to have more relevant backlinks um, that are pointing back to your website with more authority. And you can see here your domain reputation of these links. You want that number to be way higher. So for example, if we look at Genesis Plumbing again, their reputation is a little higher. They also have 138 backlinks as opposed to 22. So what we can definitely work on is getting more backlinks for you, and that's also going to help you move up the ranks organically. Okay. And the last piece that I just wanted to briefly go over is on the website, you also can place keywords behind pictures. So if you see, you click on Save Image As, right click and Save Image As. You could actually save this, for example, as Plumber in Port St. Lucie, and that will help increase the amount of keywords that you have on your site. Again, helping you move up the ranks organically. So in closing, we went over content. Your front page needs at least 1,500 on the website, 1,500 words, and the correct keywords and popular keywords there. We talked about citations. That's the local directories and having enough of them to be able to help push you up on the map listing. You typically 150 is what on average they have. So if we get 250, you blow them out of the water. And then the backlinks. You need more relevant sites pointing at you guys to show Google you're the authority as opposed to your competition here. And if you implement these strategies today, you can be number one across Google, relatively quick. I'm psychic, remember, so I bet you're wondering what now? Well, you can either go with this information I provided you today and do this on your own, and I'm totally cool with that. However, if you want the most effective route and want to save yourself the time, you can give me a call back at 888-488-1967. I'll also have my contact information. You'll have my email once I send you out the link to this video. And I would definitely like to catch up, do a deeper dive, learn more about your business, and be able to show you how we can help you be able to move up the ranks on Google. Pleasure. I hope to speak with you soon, Gary. Take care.